Challenges in the way to Mars. NASA claims that within the next 20 years, humans will begin living permanently on Mars, where earlier a mission to Mars will be launched once every 3 to 4 years. In the coming years, rockets will be launched almost every month with the purpose of settling humans there. Preparations will be carried out on a war footing to build a permanent human colony on Mars. These gigantic rockets will carry all the necessary equipment to make this Martian city livable. We've been hearing such ambitious plans for years now, but in reality, nothing concrete has yet been seen. Martian exploration has remained a hot topic among the scientific community for decades, and it's not like scientists or space agencies haven't tried. On the contrary, in the past few decades, especially NASA has launched several missions to Mars. Through these missions, we've gained crucial information about Mars' surface, environment, atmosphere, and chemical composition. This data has greatly helped in planning future missions. However, the same data has also helped us assess the major challenges we might face on Mars. Now, you might wonder, why can't NASA just send a manned mission to Mars right now? What's stopping them? Well, that's the very question we'll try to explore here. The impossible made possible. July 20th, 1969, a date when humans did the impossible, one of the greatest milestones in human history. This moon landing required not just immense funding, but also relentless effort by thousands of scientists, some of whom worked 18-hour shifts to make the mission successful. But this isn't just about money or human capability. It's about turning the unimaginable into reality, doing something that, until then, existed only in stories and dreams. Before venturing to any alien world, it's crucial to study its conditions in detail: on-ground conditions, climate, radiation, magnetic field, and more. These factors influence every aspect of mission planning: spacecraft design, astronaut training, life support systems, and mission protocols. A single miscalculation here can turn into a deadly disaster. A chilling reminder: back in 1969, during the Apollo 11 moon mission with Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, the U.S. president had 2 speeches prepared, one in case of success and the other in case the mission failed and the astronauts perished. Part of that unspoken speech read, "Fate has ordained that the men who went to the moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace." These brave men know that there is no hope for their recovery, but they also know that there is hope for mankind in their sacrifice. Thankfully, that speech was never needed, but it proves that the risks involved in space travel are very, very real. Mars, the next frontier. After achieving the moon landing, the natural next target became Mars. Just 7 years after the moon landing, in 1976, NASA's Viking 1 lander successfully landed on Mars, humanity's first touch on a red planet. Over the next 20 years, many flybys and landers followed. In 1996, NASA made history again by sending its first rover to Mars. Since then, dozens of missions have collected terabytes of data, leading to thousands of research papers. This information is crucial before we can realistically send humans to Mars. And now, it's time to talk about the challenges we face on this mission. Challenge number 1, the endless journey. The biggest challenge is the sheer distance between Earth and Mars. Even at our fastest speed, the journey takes 6-7 months. Just imagine being inside a small, closed space capsule, floating in the darkness of space for half a year. That kind of confinement can be mentally and physically exhausting. Once astronauts finally reach Mars after such a draining journey, will they even be in a condition to carry out their mission? What if a serious medical emergency arises? Rescue would be almost impossible. Some scientists even believe the first human trip to Mars might be one way. In other words, we may be able to send astronauts there, but bringing them back safely, that's still beyond our capabilities. SpaceX and Elon Musk are working towards solving this, aiming to make their Starship rocket capable of not just reaching Mars, but returning as well. But whether this becomes a reality remains to be seen, because the obstacles in the way are many: fuel supply, onboard systems, life support, astronaut safety, physical and mental health, base instruction, and much more. Achieving all this with today's technology is not just difficult, it may be impossible. Challenge number 2, Mars' deadly radiation. Mars has an extremely thin atmosphere, just 2% as thick as Earth's, which is practically negligible. Because of this, harmful UV rays and space radiation from the sun hit the Martian surface directly. This high radiation level is lethal for human beings and living organisms. Without protection, the human body could collapse after prolonged exposure. Add to that the cold temperatures. Mars averages around -65 degrees C, making it impossible to survive without climate-controlled habitats. Although equatorial regions can warm up to 21 degrees Celsius during summer, the warmth doesn't last. Harsh Martian winters freeze everything, turning the planet into a barren desert of dust. Yes, like Earth, Mars has polar ice caps, recently observed closely by NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, but surviving the rest of the terrain remains an uphill battle. Challenge number 3. Entry, Descent, and Landing, EDL. This is perhaps the most critical and risky part. Sure, NASA has landed robotic landers and rovers on Mars before, but when you look at the stats, out of every 10 missions sent to Mars, only 5 succeed. In some cases, the success rate drops to just 2 out of 10. Landing a human crew safely is incredibly hard. Mars' thin atmosphere provides very little friction to slow down a spacecraft, and its low gravity doesn't help much either. So, bringing a high-speed object, traveling over 12,000 mph, to a complete stop within minutes is insanely complex. Even the tiniest error in speed control or landing sequence could result in total disaster. The final 10 minutes before landing are truly breath-holding moments. Everything needs to be executed with absolute precision. One wrong move, and the crew is lost. #, the human spirit. But humans are wired to face challenges and overcome them. That's why we believe NASA will eventually solve these problems and establish a new milestone for humanity by safely landing people on Mars. Still, this journey is far from easy. The challenges we know today are just the tip of the iceberg. Who knows what new problems might arise? Problems we haven't even imagined, for which we may have no current solutions. Will we ever reach Mars? Only time will tell. For more such fascinating stories about space and astronomy, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.